First story: Whispers in the Pines, by Mark Johnson. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when my friends and I decided to go on a hiking trip in the dense woods of Northern California. The towering redwoods and the earthy scent of fallen leaves created a picturesque scene that beckoned us to explore. As we ventured deeper into the forest, the daylight gradually waned, casting eerie shadows among the trees. The trail was narrow and winding, and soon, the canopy above us blocked out the last rays of sunlight. Unease settled in as the woods transformed into a labyrinth of darkness. Our flashlights cut through the black like blades, revealing gnarled roots and tangled underbrush. The once friendly atmosphere took on a sinister tone, and a chill crept down my spine. As we pressed on, we began to hear distant voices carried by the wind. They were indistinct, almost like whispers, weaving through the rustling leaves. I strained my ears, trying to decipher the words, but they remained elusive. My friends dismissed it as the wind playing tricks, but the feeling of being watched lingered. Hours passed, and fatigue set in. We stumbled upon an abandoned cabin, hidden in the heart of the forest. Its windows were shattered, and the wooden door creaked open as if inviting us inside. Hesitant but drawn by curiosity, we entered cautiously. The air inside was heavy, suffused with a musty odor that hinted at long neglect. A dim light flickered from a corner, revealing a room cluttered with discarded belongings. It looked like someone had been living there, and my unease intensified. That's when we heard footsteps approaching from the shadows. Panic seized us, and we fumbled for our flashlights as the whispers in the wind grew louder. A figure emerged, clad in tattered clothes and a weathered hat that obscured their face. They spoke in a hoarse whisper, revealing a disjointed tale of solitude and desperation. It became evident that this person had been surviving in the woods, living off the land and seeking refuge in the abandoned cabin. As they rambled on, a glint of madness flashed in their eyes. Fear gnawed at us, realizing we were alone in the woods with a stranger who had become unhinged. Without exchanging a word, we backed away and fled the cabin, the whispers following us into the night. Days later, we reported the encounter to the local authorities, who ventured into the woods to investigate. The cabin was empty, leaving us with haunting memories of the unsettling whispers in the pines and the mysterious figure lurking in the shadows. Second story: Moonlit Pursuit, by Emma Turner. My family and I lived on the outskirts of a quaint village in the Bavarian Alps, surrounded by dense forests that seemed to stretch endlessly. Our small cottage nestled between the towering pines provided solace and tranquility, but one fateful night shattered the illusion of safety. It was during a full moon, casting an ethereal glow on the landscape. Intrigued by the silvery beams, I decided to take a late-night stroll through the woods. The crunch of leaves beneath my feet echoed through the stillness as I wandered further into the shadows. As I immersed myself in the beauty of the moonlit forest, a rustling sound made me pause. I strained my ears, attributing it to nocturnal creatures prowling in the darkness. Ignoring the mild unease, I continued my walk, the dense foliage creating a canopy that obscured the heavens. Suddenly, a twig snapped behind me. My heart raced as I spun around, only to catch a fleeting glimpse of a shadow darting between the trees. Panic gripped me, and I quickened my pace, the rhythmic thud of my heartbeat drowning out the nocturnal symphony. The moon cast eerie shapes on the forest floor, amplifying the sense of disquiet. I felt like prey, pursued by an unseen predator. The distant howl of a wolf only fueled my fear. I considered retracing my steps but hesitated, fearing that whatever lurked in the shadows would pounce the moment I turned my back. As I emerged into a small clearing, I spotted an abandoned cabin bathed in the silvery light. Desperation clung to me, and without second thought, I sought refuge within its decaying walls. The air inside was thick with the scent of damp wood, but it offered a temporary sanctuary. The minutes dragged like hours as I waited, my ears strained for any sign of pursuit. The forest outside seemed to hold its breath, amplifying the tension. Just as I began to believe I had evaded my pursuer, a low growl reverberated through the night air. Frozen in terror, I listened as heavy footsteps circled the cabin. The moonlight revealed a pair of piercing eyes staring through a crack in the door. Fear consumed me, and I realized this was not the realm of animals but a person, a sinister presence stalking me under the cover of night. With bated breath, I remained hidden until the footsteps retreated into the distance. When dawn finally broke, I emerged from the cabin, shaken and haunted by the realization that the moonlit pursuit was not a mere product of my imagination. The forest that once felt like home now held secrets that could send shivers down the bravest spine. Third story, Shadows of the Outback, by Sarah Mitchell. Nestled on the outskirts of the Australian outback, our family ranch provided a rustic haven surrounded by the vast expanse of eucalyptus trees. It was a harsh but beautiful landscape, and growing up, I developed a profound love for the untamed wilderness. Little did I know that the shadows that lurked in the outback would one day turn my world into a nightmare. One scorching summer day, my curiosity led me to venture deeper into the eucalyptus groves than ever before. The air was thick with the scent of gum leaves, and the oppressive heat weighed heavily on my shoulders. Despite the harsh conditions, I pressed on, eager to explore uncharted territories. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself surrounded by an otherworldly stillness. The eucalyptus trees cast long, eerie shadows, and the rustling of leaves in the wind took on a haunting melody. Ignoring the growing sense of unease, I continued my solitary trek, the dry earth crunching beneath my boots. The first signs of trouble manifested as distant whispers carried by the wind. At first, I dismissed them as tricks of the outback, but the voices grew more distinct, echoing through the vastness. Paranoia seeped into my consciousness, and I quickened my pace, convinced that someone was watching from the shadows. My flashlight illuminated the gnarled branches above, casting twisted shapes on the ground. The shadows seemed to dance, mocking my unease. The whispers escalated into hushed conversations, and my imagination conjured scenarios of unseen figures plotting in the darkness. Fatigue and fear intertwined as I stumbled upon an isolated cabin, weathered by years of relentless sun. The door creaked open with a ghostly moan, and the interior offered a temporary respite from the unsettling whispers outside. The air inside was stifling, and the silence magnified the thud of my racing heart. As I sought refuge, a realization struck me. I was not alone in the cabin. The faintest shuffle of movement echoed from the corner, where a pair of eyes glinted in the darkness. A disheveled figure emerged, revealing a face marked by years of solitude. The stranger spoke in fragmented sentences, weaving a tale of isolation and survival in the unforgiving outback. The cabin became a prison of dread as the stranger's demeanor shifted, unveiling a sinister intent. I realized I had stumbled upon a recluse whose isolation had eroded their sanity. Panic seized me, and I made a desperate escape into the night, leaving the haunted outback behind. The shadows that once held a mystique now harbored a darker truth, forever altering my perception of the vast, untamed wilderness that had once been my sanctuary. Fourth story, Whispers Among the Pines, by Jonathan Carter. Deep within the vast pine forests of Oregon, a group of friends, including myself, embarked on an adventurous camping trip. The dense foliage created a natural barrier, isolating us from the outside world. Our excitement heightened as we set up camp near a serene lake, surrounded by towering pines that swayed gently in the breeze. As night fell, we gathered around the crackling campfire, sharing stories and laughter. The warmth of the flames contrasted with the cool night air, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie. Unbeknownst to us, this idyllic setting would soon give way to an unsettling series of events. In the stillness of the night, a distant rustling caught our attention. We dismissed it as the usual sounds of wildlife, but the unease lingered. As we delved into the darkness of the forest for a late-night hike, the atmosphere shifted. The moonlight filtered through the pine needles, casting eerie shadows that seemed to watch our every move. As we ventured deeper, the whispers began, a faint murmur carried by the wind through the pine branches. The voices were indistinct, like fragments of conversation drifting in and out of our perception. A chill ran down my spine, and a sense of foreboding settled over the group. We stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin hidden among the trees. Its windows were shattered, and the door creaked open, as if inviting us into its ominous embrace. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, we cautiously entered, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air inside was thick with the scent of decay, and the cabin seemed frozen in time. Abandoned belongings hinted at a life once lived within those decaying walls. As we explored, a hushed whisper echoed through the emptiness, sending shivers down our spines. In the dim light, we glimpsed a figure, obscured in the shadows. A weathered face revealed eyes that bore the weight of solitude. The stranger spoke in disjointed sentences, revealing a tale of isolation and survival. We listened, captivated by the haunting narrative that unfolded. However, the atmosphere grew tense as the stranger's demeanor shifted. Paranoia crept into the room as we realized we were not alone. The cabin, once a refuge, became a trap. In the dim light, the stranger's eyes gleamed with a sinister intent. Panic seized us as we stumbled over discarded belongings, desperately seeking an escape. In the chaos that ensued, we fled the cabin, the haunting whispers following us into the night. The forest seemed to close in around us, the pines concealing the unseen threat that lingered. Fear propelled us forward, our breaths mingling with the night air as we raced through the maze of trees. Days later, we reported the encounter to local authorities, who ventured into the forest to investigate the abandoned cabin. However, they found no trace of the mysterious stranger. The whispers among the pines became a haunting memory, a tale shared in hushed tones around campfires, a cautionary reminder that even the most serene landscapes could harbor unsettling secrets. Fifth story, Silhouettes in the Shadows, by Elena Rodriguez. Nestled on the outskirts of a quaint village in the heart of the Black Forest in Germany, my childhood home stood as a silent witness to the mysteries concealed within the ancient trees. Growing up surrounded by the thick foliage, I had always felt a connection to the forest, a connection that would be tested on a chilling winter night. It started with an invitation from friends to embark on a late-night walk through the woods. The snow-covered branches created a surreal landscape as the moon cast an ethereal glow. Laughter echoed through the stillness as we ventured into the heart of the black forest, our footsteps muffled by the soft blanket of snow beneath. As we delved deeper into the forest, the familiar path transformed into a labyrinth of twisting shadows. The moonlight flickered through the bare branches, casting elongated silhouettes on the ground. It was then that the atmosphere shifted, and an unsettling stillness settled over the group. Whispers emerged from the darkness, carried by the biting winter wind. At first, we dismissed them as the rustling of leaves or the creaking of trees. Yet, the voices persisted, growing more distinct and unnerving. The whispers seemed to form words, a sinister undertone weaving through the chilly air. A sense of paranoia gripped us, and we quickened our pace, trying to shake off the haunting echoes. The path seemed to elongate, leading us deeper into the unknown. As we approached a clearing, the moonlight revealed an abandoned cabin, its time-worn exterior standing as a testament to the passage of years. Intrigued yet cautious, we entered the cabin, our breaths visible in the frigid air. The interior was frozen in time, with remnants of a life once lived. A sense of melancholy hung in the air as we explored, our flashlights revealing forgotten photographs and discarded belongings. The whispers persisted, echoing through the empty rooms. It was then that we heard footsteps, soft but deliberate, moving outside the cabin. Panic seized us as we realized we were not alone. The shadows on the walls seemed to come alive, dancing in the flickering light as unseen figures moved in the periphery. As we cautiously stepped outside, the moon revealed silhouettes among the trees. Figures dressed in tattered clothes and weathered hats stood at the edge of the clearing, their eyes gleaming with a haunting intensity. The air grew heavy with an unspoken threat as we locked eyes with the mysterious intruders. Without a word, we fled the cabin, the footsteps behind us growing louder. The forest seemed to close in, the twisted branches forming a nightmarish maze. Fear propelled us forward as we raced through the snow-laden woods, the echoes of footsteps fading into the distance. To this day, the silhouettes and the shadows haunt my dreams. The black forest, once a sanctuary, now holds the echoes of that chilling night, a reminder that the beauty of nature can conceal the darkness that lurks within, waiting to emerge from the depths of the ancient trees. Sixth story: The Forgotten Cottage, by Oliver Anderson. Nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains, the small town of Windhaven boasted a rich history entwined with the dense, foreboding forests that surrounded it. It was during a weekend getaway with friends that I found myself drawn to explore the secrets concealed within the woods, a decision that would unravel a tale of intrigue and unsettling discoveries. The journey began with a group of us embarking on a hike, winding our way through the thick foliage of the Appalachian Trail. The air was crisp, and the scent of pine permeated the surroundings. The sun cast dappled shadows on the forest floor as we followed the trail deeper into the heart of the mountains. As the day wore on, we stumbled upon an overgrown path that seemed to lead off the main trail. A sense of curiosity compelled us to explore, and soon, we found ourselves standing before an old, forgotten cottage. Its time-worn exterior hinted at a bygone era, with faded paint and sagging shutters that spoke of decades of neglect. The door, hanging ajar, creaked open as if inviting us to uncover the mysteries within. Despite an initial hesitation, we stepped into the dimly lit interior. Dust motes danced in the air, and the floor creaked beneath our weight. The atmosphere inside was laden with the weight of forgotten stories. As we moved through the rooms, our flashlights revealed remnants of a life long abandoned. Yellowed photographs adorned the walls, capturing moments frozen in time. Old furniture, draped in dusty sheets, hinted at a hasty departure, leaving the cottage to succumb to the encroaching wilderness. However, it wasn't the relics of the past that unnerved us. It was the distant sound of hushed conversations that echoed through the empty rooms. Whispers that seemed to rise from the very walls, forming a chorus of forgotten voices. Disquiet settled over us as we strained to decipher the words carried by the air. The trail of whispers led us to the attic, where we discovered a collection of journals. Faded ink told the tale of a reclusive artist who had sought solace in the mountains, using the cottage as a retreat from the world. Yet, the entries took a dark turn, describing encounters with mysterious figures in the woods and an escalating paranoia that permeated the artist's mind. The unsettling revelations reached a climax as we stumbled upon a hidden compartment in the floorboards. Inside, we found a collection of crude sketches and notes, detailing the artist's encounters with a group of shadowy figures that seemed to haunt the forest. The sketches depicted twisted, elongated silhouettes that sent a shiver down our spines. As we absorbed the gravity of our discovery, the distant whispers in the cottage grew louder. Panic set in as we realized the haunting voices were not confined to the pages of the journals. They were alive, lingering within the very walls of the forgotten cottage. In haste, we fled the eerie abode, the whispers following us like a spectral trail. The once inviting woods now seemed to harbor unseen eyes, watching our every move. The mystery of the forgotten cottage became etched in our memories, a chilling reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed in the depths of the ancient Appalachian forest. 7th Story, Nocturnal Intrigue, by Isabella Turner. Nights in the dense pine forests of British Columbia possessed an otherworldly beauty, but one particular night would unveil a series of events that blurred the line between fascination and fear. It began with a spontaneous decision to embark on a late-night walk, the moon casting a silvery glow on the forest floor. As we navigated through the towering pines, the air was filled with the scent of pine needles and the distant murmur of nocturnal creatures. The ambience was serene, creating an illusion of isolation from the outside world. Little did we know that the tranquility would soon give way to a nocturnal intrigue that would change our perception of the forest forever. As we ventured deeper into the woods, the moonlight painted intricate patterns on the ground. Shadows danced among the trees, and the gentle rustling of leaves became a nocturnal symphony. It was then that we heard the first whispers, a soft, indistinct murmur carried by the night breeze. At first, we dismissed it as the wind playing tricks, but the whispers persisted, growing more audible with each step. Paranoia crept in as the voices seemed to converge, forming a chorus of eerie echoes that resonated through the silent woods. The once familiar trail took on an unfamiliar, haunting tone. We stumbled upon a clearing bathed in moonlight, revealing an abandoned cabin nestled among the pines. Its weathered facade hinted at years of solitude, and a sense of foreboding settled over us. The door creaked open, seemingly welcoming us into its enigmatic interior. The cabin held the residue of forgotten lives, with worn-out furniture and faded curtains. The whispers, now more pronounced, seemed to emanate from the very walls. As we explored, a realization dawned on us. This cabin was not abandoned. Someone, or something, lingered in the shadows. In the dim light, we caught a glimpse of a figure standing in the corner. A disheveled appearance and sunken eyes marked a solitary existence. The stranger spoke in fragmented sentences, their words weaving a narrative of solitude and desperation. The air inside the cabin grew heavy with an unspoken tension. As the stranger's story unfolded, a sense of dread washed over us. It became clear that the cabin was not a refuge, but a prison of the mind. The whispers that surrounded us were not merely the rustling of leaves, but the manifestation of a fragile sanity teetering on the edge. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, and the stranger's eyes gleamed with an unsettling intensity. Fear gripped us as we realized we were not alone in the cabin. The whispers transformed into a dissonant cacophony, drowning out rational thought. In a panic, we fled into the night, leaving the enigmatic cabin and its mysterious inhabitant behind. The echoes of that nocturnal intrigue lingered long after, etched in the fabric of our memories. The pine forests, once a haven of tranquility, became a realm of whispers and shadows, a testament to the fine line between the beauty and the darkness that dwells within the heart of the night. 8th story, Echoes of the Everglades, by Michael Anderson. The swamplands of the Florida Everglades are a realm of tangled mangroves, murky waters, and haunting beauty. It was amidst this unique landscape that a solo canoe trip turned into a nightmarish encounter, blurring the lines between the natural and the unnerving. Setting out from a small outpost near the edge of the glades, I paddled through narrow waterways, surrounded by the symphony of nocturnal creatures. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow on the still waters. As the night progressed, the solitude of the swamp began to play tricks on my senses. Strange, guttural sounds echoed through the mangroves, a chorus of unseen creatures communicating in an alien language. I dismissed it as the usual symphony of the Everglades, but a sense of unease settled over me. The water beneath my canoe seemed to ripple with an unseen energy, and the air grew heavy with an unspoken tension. I navigated through the labyrinth of mangroves, the twisted branches creating eerie silhouettes against the moonlit sky. That's when I heard it, an unmistakable whisper, distinct from the ambient noises of the swamp. At first, I attributed it to the wind rustling through the leaves, but the whisper persisted, forming coherent sentences that seemed to beckon me deeper into the swamp. As I followed the source of the whispers, the water became more opaque, concealing the murky depths beneath. Shadows danced on the surface, and the air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy. The whispers grew louder, evolving into a disconcerting narrative that hinted at secrets hidden within the heart of the Everglades. I stumbled upon an abandoned shack, barely visible through the thick vegetation. Its weathered exterior spoke of a forgotten era, and the whispers seemed to emanate from within its decaying walls. Hesitant but compelled, I entered the shack, my flashlight revealing a room frozen in time. The air inside was thick with the scent of decay, and the whispers reached a crescendo. A figure clad in tattered clothing emerged from the shadows. The stranger spoke in fragmented sentences, revealing a tale of isolation and a connection to the ancient spirits of the Everglades. As their words took on a feverish intensity, a realization struck me. I had stumbled upon a guardian of the swamp, a solitary soul entwined with the mystical energies of the glades. However, the guardian's demeanor shifted, their eyes gleaming with an unsettling fervor. Fear gripped me as I realized the swamp held not only natural wonders but also a darker, enigmatic force. In a desperate escape, I retraced my path through the mangroves, the whispers echoing in the night. Days later, as I returned to the outpost, the encounter in the Everglades lingered in my thoughts. The whispers, the guardian, and the mystical energies became an indelible part of my memory, forever altering my perception of the haunting beauty that dwells within the heart of the Florida Everglades. Ninth story. Shadows of the Mist, by Hannah Sullivan. The mist-shrouded forests of the Scottish Highlands are steeped in myth and mystery, and it was within this ethereal landscape that a solo hiking expedition would unfold into a tale of ancient shadows and unsettling revelations. The journey began on a crisp autumn morning as I ventured into the Highlands, guided by the promise of breathtaking vistas and untouched wilderness. The trail wound through ancient woodlands, the trees cloaked in a veil of mist that seemed to blur the boundaries between reality and the supernatural. As I delved deeper into the forest, the mist thickened, enveloping the surroundings in an otherworldly haze. The air became charged with an inexplicable energy, and a sense of isolation settled over me. The trail, marked by moss-covered stones, led me further into the heart of the mist-shrouded wilderness. It wasn't long before I heard the faint echoes of footsteps, rhythmic and deliberate. I dismissed them as my imagination playing tricks, but the footsteps persisted, growing louder with each passing moment. Paranoia seized me as I quickened my pace, the mist distorting the shapes of the ancient trees into twisted, unfamiliar forms. The shadows cast by the mist seemed to move independently, creating an illusion of spectral figures dancing in the periphery. The whispers began, a haunting symphony that echoed through the trees. It was as if the very forest was alive with the voices of unseen entities, weaving a narrative that transcended the boundaries of time. A clearing revealed an abandoned stone circle, standing as a silent sentinel in the heart of the mist. The ancient stones, weathered by centuries, seemed to resonate with an ancient energy. As I approached, the whispers reached a crescendo, and the shadows within the mist coalesced into vague, humanoid forms. In the center of the circle, I glimpsed a hooded figure, an ethereal guardian, seemingly tethered to the ancient stones. The guardian spoke in a language unknown to me, their words carrying the weight of forgotten centuries. The mist clung to their form, creating an otherworldly silhouette against the backdrop of the ancient stones. As the guardian's tale unfolded, it became clear that I had stumbled upon a nexus of ancient energies, a place where the fabric of reality and mythology intertwined. The whispers in the mist echoed the stories of generations past, revealing secrets hidden within the heart of the Scottish Highlands. However, the atmosphere shifted, and the guardian's eyes gleamed with an unsettling intensity. Fear gripped me as I realized that the misty realm held not only ancient wisdom, but also a darker force. In a desperate retreat, I left the stone circle behind, the whispers and shadows echoing in the mist as I navigated my way back through the ancient woodlands. The encounter in the mist became a haunting memory, forever etched in the tapestry of my experiences. The Scottish Highlands, once a realm of breathtaking beauty, now held the shadows of the mist, a reminder that within the heart of ancient landscapes, the line between reality and the supernatural is thin and permeable. 10th story. Whispers on the Moors, by Thomas Matthews. The desolate moors of Yorkshire, England, are known for their haunting beauty and vast, windswept landscapes. It was on a solo camping trip across the moors that I found myself entangled in a web of unsettling events that blurred the boundaries between the natural and the eerie. The journey began as I set up camp on the desolate expanse of the moors, surrounded by rolling hills and tufts of heather. The wind carried a mournful howl, creating an atmosphere of solitude and isolation. The expanse of sky stretched above, adorned with clouds that seemed to mirror the undulating terrain beneath. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a chill settled over the moors, and the landscape transformed into a dreamscape of shadows and whispers. The distant cry of a solitary bird echoed through the vastness, creating an eerie symphony that reverberated through the silence of the moors. As night descended, the wind carried with it indistinct whispers, a chorus of voices that seemed to rise from the very earth. I dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but the whispers persisted, forming a disconcerting narrative that echoed across the desolate expanse. It was as if the moors themselves held ancient secrets, whispering tales of bygone eras and forgotten souls. In the darkness, I stumbled upon the ruins of an old stone cottage, partially concealed by the overgrowth of the moors. Its dilapidated walls stood as a testament to a time long past. Intrigued, I entered the crumbling structure, my flashlight revealing remnants of a life that had succumbed to the unforgiving landscape. The whispers within the cottage were more pronounced, a symphony of voices that seemed to weave a narrative of tragedy and isolation. A spectral presence hung in the air, as if the moors themselves held the memories of the lives that once thrived within the stone walls. The wind outside seemed to carry the echoes of those long-forgotten voices. As I explored further, I discovered a hidden cellar beneath the cottage, its entrance obscured by loose floorboards. The air within the cellar was thick with an unsettling energy, and the whispers reached a crescendo. It was then that I realized I had unearthed a secret buried within the heart of the moors, a hidden chamber that seemed to transcend the boundaries of time. Within the chamber, the whispers formed into a chorus of apparitions, faint, shadowy figures that moved with an ethereal grace. They spoke in fragmented sentences, revealing a tale of tragedy and loss that had become entwined with the very fabric of the moors. The figures seemed to beckon me, their voices carrying an otherworldly weight. However, the atmosphere shifted, and the figures' eyes gleamed with an unsettling intensity. Fear gripped me as I realized the moors held not only the echoes of the past but also a spectral force that defied understanding. In a frantic retreat, I left the ruins behind, the whispers and shadows lingering in the winds that swept across the desolate expanse. Days later, as I returned to the world beyond the moors, the echoes of the whispers haunted my thoughts. The Yorkshire moors, once a place of rugged beauty, now held a spectral secret, a reminder that within the vastness of nature, there are realms where reality intertwines with the mysteries of the past. Thank you for sticking with us through the whole video. Also, I recommend you this video you see on screen, one of the scariest on my channel. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. This helps me bring you more thrilling content every day. If this video sent shivers down your spine, let me know in the comments.